Hi, so I just want to start by saying that this is a sequel to my last video. You don't technically have to watch it to understand this one, but everything I said in that video still applies here. So I guess check it out if you want to. I want to start this video by saying that there are too many videos on YouTube that exist solely to hate on female characters. And that's not really what I want to do today, especially because a lot of those videos state that the problem with those movies or TV shows is that they are too woke. The problem is that they're not woke enough. The problem is non-woke people pandering to an audience because feminism is popular and it's just not authentic. I mean, feminist media has nothing to do with how physically strong a woman is or about how much of a girl boss she is. It's showing complex female characters, and sometimes they're weak and sometimes they're strong and sometimes they succeed and sometimes they fail. Showing many different types of women. A strong female character isn't a woman that punches hard, it's a woman who has ambition, who works hard, who has a strong personality, who gets back up when she fails. And sure, in certain stories, she can also be super strong, but a strong punch with no personality is not a strong character. And this isn't a, if it's made by a man, it's bad, and if it's made by a woman, it's good. There's a lot of female characters written by men that I like. I mean, growing up, one of the most important characters to me was actually Sheeta in Castle in the Sky. And that's because I've never been a very strong person. I mean, I'm quite unathletic, as you can imagine. But the thing with Sheeta is that she's also like that. I mean, she's kind of forced into this situation where she has to be a hero and she's just not. So she cries a lot and she needs to be saved because that's just what her personality is. And honestly, I can relate. But when there was a moment where she needed to be strong and she couldn't rely on someone else, she managed to pull through. Muska points a gun at her and shoots her braids off, and she stands there, looking at him straight in the eyes. He threatens to shoot her, and she does not budge. Seeing a character that was like me stand up for herself like that was just incredibly inspiring. Even though Sheeta is not your average strong female character, to me she means a lot because throughout the story she manages to become strong. And if all of Miyazaki's female characters were like that, then it might not be as good. But Ghibli has such a wide range of female characters that when you have one like that, it really works. What I'm getting at is that there's not just one type of good female character. You need a wide variety to represent the variety of women that exist. So yeah, if one problem is non-feminists trying to make feminist films, well, there's also, unfortunately, the female characters that are good and that get unjustified hate by sexists. I mean, just off the top of my head, Katara, get behind me. Sansa, get behind me. But especially, more than anyone else, Skylar White, get behind me. I was so confused while watching Breaking Bad because the only things I knew about that show is that there were gonna be drugs and that people online hate Skylar White. And I understand that liking a character has nothing to do with their morality. But that's not why people hate Skylar White. I mean, you look at the top comment of Anna Gunn winning an Emmy, and I quote, "If you hate Skylar, that's why Anna Gunn won. She did an amazing job at being a hated character." As if she was Joffrey goddamn Baratheon. So I was just watching the show, waiting for her to do something that deserved all of this hate. And when I was watching it, my dad was rewatching it with me, and I told him, I was like, people really hate Skylar and I don't understand why. And then he got confused because he'd already seen the show and he was like, well, that's unjustified. So then as we were watching the show, we were mocking people who hated Skylar because it's just ridiculous. So sometimes people who make the art are sexist, and sometimes it's people who watch the art. I love feminist media. I love when female characters are good. And if you make feminist media, you don't need a scene to prove it. If you feel like you have to make up for the sexism in the rest of your show by including one scene where women are stronger than men, you're not feminist. Now, unfortunately, today we're not talking about a character I am very fond of. The women in Naruto, listen, it's not bad. It's not good. It's in like that middle ground where it's interesting to talk about. Because there are things that are good, and then there are things that are awful. And then compared to other shonen, sometimes you're like, oh, this is great. And other times you're like, oh, this is, yep, a shonen. Now, I like having a structure in my videos. So what I'm going to do today is that I'm going to defend all the female characters in Naruto, except for Sakura and Hinata. Why these two? Because I'm gonna argue that these two are purposefully badly written because they are supposed to be the love interest of the two main guy characters. However, if you've seen the prequel, this show is kind of secretly about being queer. So if the female characters are badly written, the two guys are gonna get shipped together, and that was their goal. So with the other female characters, they prove that they can do a good job at writing them, but Hinata and Sakura are purposefully badly written. Yeah, the canon pairings are supposed to be bad, because the show is gay. Hopefully I didn't lose too many people there. Okay, so let's start talking about Sakura. What better way to start talking about this character than how she's represented in the intro? This intro actually does a fantastic job at establishing that for the rest of the show, Sakura won't be able to fucking dodge. Okay, no, let's be nicer. Okay, actually, no, there's something else I want to say about this intro. So they established Team 7 with like these 3 shots, right? So you have Sasuke on top of a tree, you have Naruto who's sleeping, and you have Sakura that's behind a rock. And I'm like, why? First of all, the only thing Sakura does in this arc is climb a tree better than the other 2. Why isn't she on top of the tree? As if she was like looking out, and then Sasuke was hiding with weapons ready to hit, and then Naruto was sleeping. Well, I'll tell you why. Because this show doesn't care about this trio. This show cares about the duo. So if you have Sasuke on top of a tree looking very professional, clearly it took some skill to get there, he is alert doing his job. And then you have Naruto, who is sleeping on the job. Because clearly the show isn't about him getting strong or working hard, they established that very early. This immediately creates an interesting dynamic between them, because you're like, oh, they're forced onto the same team, how's that gonna go? Clearly they're gonna fight about it, and they will have to learn to work together even though they're super different. So these 2 shots establish a great duo. Sakura's shot adds absolutely nothing. If you took my suggestion and Sakura was up on a tree and Sasuke would be ready to fight, it would show that they are good at working together and Naruto's the outlier. But they don't want to make Sakura and Sasuke into a duo. Ironically. So instead, they add characterization to Sasuke and Naruto, and Sakura's shot says nothing about her personality or skills. These 3 shots should have been about how Team 7 works together. They can't do that, because they always prioritize Naruto and Sasuke. This intro also establishes how the entire thing is about 2 guys holding hands in water. Interesting. Okay, I already feel myself being too negative, so I'm gonna actually start this time, by talking about the best part of her character, in my opinion, which is her design. I don't really want to praise a show for not sexualizing a 12-year-old, but hey, they didn't do it. The mix of red, pink, and green is fantastic. Her outfit is age appropriate. It is the right amount of complexity so it moves when she moves. It highlights her femininity while also being practical. It's a great outfit. And the thing about the sexualization, that will be a topic this entire video, but the time skip between the 2 shows would have been the perfect opportunity to give her a massive rack and make her super sexualized. But they didn't. They kept her as a character who's arguably flat-chested. Sakura is very rarely sexualized. I would actually argue that Naruto and Sasuke are far more sexualized than her, because you know. So yeah, her character design, top-notch. She looks great, and you can tell there was a lot of thought put into this design, and I very much appreciate it. Alright, so to actually start talking about the narrative, there are a few moments before the first arc that are worth mentioning. The way she's introduced as a character, the only thing we really know about her is that she really likes Sasuke. Well, the other thing we know about her is that she doesn't like Naruto. So when she has a chance of introducing herself to Team 7, the only thing she really gets to do is giggle, kick her feet, and blush at the thought of Sasuke. I don't necessarily mind this, because this is the start of the show, and she has room to grow. It's a flawed place to start her character, and that's fine. She has to realize that she can't base her whole personality around a man, right? Now, I'm going to keep a list of her worst moments, and I know that if other people did this list, it would be possible that this moment would be on it. Of course, I'm talking about the scene where she mocks an orphan in front of another orphan. She basically says that Naruto's bad attitude is because he's an orphan and he doesn't have parents to keep him in check. And she says this to Sasuke. And I get that it's not a great thing to do, but at the same time, she's put in this team with extremely traumatized individuals as someone who doesn't really have trauma. So her struggling to relate to them is actually pretty realistic. In this situation, she's a privileged character who is saying out-of-touch things. I mean, very possible. Once again, because it's the beginning of the show, I don't really mind. She's starting out flawed, and that is fine. And she has plenty of time to grow and apologize. right? So yeah, nothing on the list yet. One thing I do find interesting with her character is that we see moments where she's being this calm girl she's supposed to be, and then we see her inner monologue where she's really angry. She's impatient and passionate, and she's actually a bit like Naruto in her personality. I would have really liked to see them actually digging deeper into this because she's performing femininity and she's not showing her true personality. It could have been really cool to see her develop into who she truly is. But instead of this really leading up to a leader role or her being assertive, it just leads to her abusing Naruto later in the show, like constantly. So another missed opportunity there. But my point is, like, the beginning of the show, her character, it has potential. Like, yeah, you're starting off at a rough spot, but there's plenty of room to grow from here. You establish that she's actually very different from the way that she presents herself, and she's just a 12-year-old with a crush. She'll grow out of that, right? Anyway, that's Sakura at the beginning. So let's talk about the first arc. Once again, I am more forgiving because this is the beginning of the show. She doesn't do much. At first, like, the team gets attacked and she kind of just stands there. She's kind of doing her job by protecting the person they're accompanying, but yeah, not a strong defense. You can tell that she knows what she's supposed to do. She just wasn't meant to be sent on an S-tier mission, I don't think. So I can't really be mad at her for being useless here because of course she would be. She's just graduated school and she's been sent to the hardest possible mission. That's not her fault. So there's an SNS scene I didn't talk about last time. If you're a beginner, when I say SNS, I am talking about Sasuke and Naruto. Don't ask why. Now, the reason I don't talk about this scene in my other video is because I wish it wasn't an SNS scene and I wish it was a Team 7 scene. Because, right, Kakashi's stuck in the water prison and then Naruto and Sasuke team up to attack him. So Sasuke throws that big shuriken, but then it's actually Naruto who then throws a kunai the other side. Cool scene, very cute, they're working together. But I would have liked if Sakura had this idea and she was kind of the mastermind behind this plan. Instead of sitting on the side doing nothing, she could have had the agency to pull Sasuke back, tell him, like, you should do this, and then let the guys do the plan. So then it would be Team 7 working together. Even though she doesn't have the ability to pull off this plan, she can make it. It's a small change, but I think it makes the team stronger. I mean, she would encourage Naruto and Sasuke to work together to make each other stronger, and she would actually be useful. It's small things like this where you realize she doesn't have to be useless, even if you don't change her character at all. The fact that you can have all of these scenes without her just proves that she shouldn't be a main character. Let her do something. Then there's the climbing the tree scene. Now, she does this better than the boys, but it doesn't feel nice. Like, I get that on paper this would be a girl boss moment because, yeah, she's stronger and she does things better than the boys and let's go. But you look at this from a narrative perspective and it's like, oh, she just did this better so that she could be kicked out of the scene and then the boys could have some alone time. That's kind of why it sucks. Like, they're sacrificing her character so that the boys can have a better bond. And it would be different if, because she did this quicker, then she would help the plot on her own time, but she doesn't. She kind of just sits back. So it's purely her being stronger in this particular case so that she doesn't have to be in the scene. It's just not very satisfying as a girl boss moment if she just has less screen time. Like I've previously said, strong woman is not punching hard, and her being stronger in this case doesn't actually make her a strong character. It just means she's good at something. Now, if you continue on the bridge fight, she doesn't do much there. However, we have our first list moment. Because the only thing we know about Sakura at this point is that she is book smart. That is, like, the one thing, apart from liking Sasuke and not liking Naruto, that we have been told about her. We haven't seen any proof of this, but we've been told she gets good grades at school and she's book smart. So okay, let me see. Oh, we have a little scene where this could happen, right? Kekkei are introduced. What happens? She asks, what's a Kekkei? What's a Kekkei? I'm sorry. Why? Naruto is right next to her in this scene, and Kakashi answers. Why? Why can't Naruto ask this question and Sakura answers being like, oh, you don't listen in school or whatever? No, I'm sorry. I can forgive her for not being strong. That's fine. This is an S-rank mission and she is not meant for this. That is fine. but she's supposed to at least be book smart. That is the one quality you gave her, and you have an opportunity to show us and you don't? What did they teach these kids at school? I have no idea. This could have been an opportunity, but instead you just have Kakashi explaining it. I already know that Kakashi knows what a Kekkei Genkai is. Of course he does. What's a Kekkei Genkai? Are you serious? It's pissing me off. As much as the other moment was easy to fix, this one is worse. Like, you could have done something. It's right there. So she's on the bridge while everybody else is fighting. And then she asks what a Kekkei Genkai is in the only moment she could have actually done something, which is explain what a Kekkei Genkai is. And then Sasuke dies. So then she goes to cry by his side. By the way, Sasuke's not dead. Naruto just doesn't know how to look for vital signs, so he assumed that he was dead. And then Sakura sees him, and she's like, oh, he's dead. Like, they're both stupid. So she just cries on Sasuke until he wakes up, and then he's like, move. He finds her annoying, and then that's it. I get she wasn't supposed to be on this mission, but like, something. One thing she could have done. Come on. We'll have like a small rewrite when I'm done talking about the first show, just to see how we could fix her arc as a whole. But yeah, we're not there yet. So I think this arc introduces a problem that is very glaring with Sakura. And it's that in this arc, the three other characters have a mystery attached to them, right? There's intrigue. You meet Kakashi and then you discover that he has one Sharingan. You're like, why? He's not an Uchiha. Why does he have one Sharingan? What happened? And then you see Sasuke, and then Sasuke dies. And he's like, oh, I wish I could have killed my brother. And you're like, why does he want to kill his brother? Like, what happened to Sasuke? We don't know his backstory. And then Naruto unleashes a demon. And you're like, hey, what's that about? Why did they choose him? And how will this demon affect his life? You want to continue the show to get answers to these questions. Like, there's so much intrigue with these three characters. I feel like there's nothing about Sakura that I don't know already. I don't have a single question about this character except from how did she not know what a Kekkei Genkai is? Oh my god. The only question I have is like, are they gonna do something with this character in the show? The fact that after this arc, the introduction to the show, I'm not interested in her is a terrible sign, especially because this show is so good at introducing characters. I'm more interested in Zabuza and Haku than Sakura. Basically, the beginning of the show just tells us that A, they are not interested in developing her character, and they would rather create a stronger link between Sasuke and Naruto. It also doesn't create any interest in Sakura. While every other character has an intrigue attached to them, Sakura has nothing, and there is nothing the viewer is looking forward to in her story. The things that we're told, like that Sakura is very smart, were not shown, so we still have no proof that Sakura is actually smart. We haven't seen her make a plan, and we haven't seen her use her knowledge. The thing that we are shown is that she has good chakra control, but this isn't used. It's like if Naruto did this whole thing to learn the Rasengan, did it on a tree in practice with Jiraiya, and then didn't do it again for the rest of the show. You'd be like, okay, well, he can do it, but okay, what now? However, I'm more forgiving because this is the first arc, but it's rough. Second arc, the Chunin exams. Sakura doesn't think she should do the Chunin exams, and this is the first time we see Sakura being smart. She's right, she shouldn't do these exams, she's not strong enough. But Sasuke manipulates her, and there's also a little scene where someone pretends to be Sasuke, but she recognizes it's a genjutsu, so she's ready. Side note, if I was a closeted homosexual man, and someone imitated me by doing this, I would cry. Now, after this, there's another genjutsu that is cast, and they're like on the wrong floor. Well, no, they're on the right floor. They're on the right floor, but they're on the right floor, but they're trying to convince them they're on the wrong floor. And Sasuke notices, obviously. And because he's trying to raise Sakura's confidence, he's like, but you also noticed, right? And it pans to her with the most empty look. She's completely lost. Sasuke overestimated her. And then she has to think about it for a moment, and she's like, oh, yeah, we're on the right floor. So she's shown to be smart because if Sasuke points out something and she thinks about it for a little bit, she can also notice. Nice. Thank God she's there. You know? Now, for the written exam, people, Sakura fans, often point this out as proof that she is smart. I would disagree because this exam was never corrected. Naruto didn't write a single answer and he still passed. What makes you think Sakura had the right answers here? For all we know, she was wrong about everything. Not to mention that the point of this exam is not to write down the answers. It's to cheat. Sasuke understands this immediately. Naruto doesn't, but Sasuke does, and he's the one that explains to the audience, like, oh, we gotta cheat. What this exam is testing is your ability as a shinobi to gather information without being noticed. Sakura, compared to the other characters in the room, doesn't have a way to cheat. It's the same thing as her having good chakra control on the tree. The only reason she can't cheat is because she's too weak. It's so that they don't have to think about a way for her to cheat. And I'm not saying the rest of the characters all have well-written ways to cheat. Some of them suck. Naruto's straight up talking. But her being smart in this exam should have been her finding a smart way to cheat, not her knowing the answers. It's a cop-out. Not only do we not know if she had the right answers, but we know that she can't cheat. We know she can't gather information subtly. So she completely failed this exam. And once again, Sasuke is better. He understood the exam and found a way to do it. Okay, now I feel myself being too negative right now, but it's a good thing a new female character just jumps in. We haven't really seen adult women in this world yet, so Anko's our introduction to that. And she's pretty cool. She has a very strong personality and it doesn't seem to revolve around a man. She has an interesting backstory. She's linked to Orochimaru, even though she doesn't let it define her, and she's very comfortable having leading roles in the Leaf. As far as sexualization goes, she has assets, but she kind of just is a woman that exists with big breasts, and that is fine. She's never really filmed in a way that is sexualized, or even filmed in a way that would suggest that her body is an invitation to something else. You should be taking her seriously, and people around her do. And I'm just mentioning this because I don't want people to think that the only way to make a character non-sexualized is by giving them a small chest. You can do it even though the character wears revealing clothing, or even if the character has a womanly form. She has a great design and she's really intimidating, but you can tell she's having fun messing with these kids. All in all, it's just, you want more of her. Every time she's on screen, I just realize how much I want to see her backstory and how I wish she was in more scenes. I mean, I really wish there was a scene where she would talk to Sasuke about what it's like to be with Orochimaru. It would have been cool for Sasuke to join Orochimaru fully knowing what it was going to be like and still making that choice. So I think she's cool. You realize that in this world, gender isn't really a barrier, especially when they fight with jutsus or genjutsu even. Gender boundaries, physical strength don't really matter in this world. Who your parents are is far more important. It's cool that they included a female character who's in charge, and she's often seen in charge of groups of men because it shows that it's possible, even though she might be a pioneer in the movement because there aren't many of them. Anyway, she feels like a beacon of hope at this point because you just assume every female character is going to have her life revolve around a man, that there won't be any interesting female characters, but Anko proves the opposite, and you start to realize that the problem is Sakura and not Naruto, the show. So why is that? Now, of course, after we get Anko, we get the Forest of Death. And boy, do I have opinions about this. But let's just keep focused on Sakura. And there's already a moment that bothers me pretty early on. And this is when Sasuke notices that someone is listening to them. So then he comes up with a plan where he has this super long password, and then he tells his teammates to remember it so that they can make sure it's them. Except he knows someone is listening to them, so he makes sure to choose a password that Naruto won't remember. Inevitably, Orochimaru comes up as Naruto, so Sasuke knows straight away it's not Naruto, and he attacks him. Notice how I mentioned Sasuke a lot? Yeah, so Sakura's role in this is that she proves that she's smart because she remembers the password. Not she noticed that someone was spying on them, not that she came up with a plan, not that... You see what I mean? Like in a show where this was about a trio, Sakura and Sasuke would have noticed that someone was spying on them, and then Sakura would have come up with a plan. Sasuke would have been smart enough to remember the password, and then when Naruto arrives and says the password, Sasuke would have attacked. Teamwork. It's like you look at other trios in media and it always goes along the line of the smart one, the strong one, and the funny one. Of course, if it's a comedy series, they'll all be a bit funny, and if it's a series about fighting, they'll all be a bit strong. Because, you know, if you're not gonna help the plot that much, the least you can do is be entertaining. This is fiction. But she is not funny, she's not strong, and she keeps proving to us that she's not smart. She has no role in this trio. Even when Sasuke attacks Naruto Orochimaru, she's like, hey, what are you doing? Like, she didn't understand anything. Sasuke has to explain his plan to her. She didn't even know he was coming up with a plan. It's just another scene where teamwork should have been at the center. Instead, we're shown how strong and smart Sasuke is. And now we might have our second moment on the list. Because what the hell is this? No, they're given like one rule for this. You can kill someone, right? The only thing you can't do is open the scroll. These morons. Sasuke leaves 2 seconds to go fill up a water bottle. He leaves his two other teammates are immediately like, wait, what if to win this exam, you actually had to look in the scroll? Like this is a trick. Yeah. They're about to open the scroll, which would have made them lose immediately. Sakura should have been arguing with Naruto about this. Naruto would have been like, wait. And Sakura would be like, you idiot, if you do that, we lose. And then fought him, actually showed agency and go against him. Like, these two are actually presented as morons. And we expect this from Naruto. But the fact that Sakura is so easily influenced, it's pathetic. He's carrying this team. So yeah, that was just so stupid of her that it's going on the list. Anyway, you might have been waiting for this moment because this is the first Sakura scene that I really like. Or at least I love the scene when I watched Naruto for the first time. Let me explain. They just fought Orochimaru. Naruto and Sasuke are out. She is alone. She's trying to care for them. Nothing is going well. And then they get attacked by another team. Sakura is not equipped for this. Not only is the other team way out of her league, there are multiple people. Like, this is unfair on every level. But what does she do? She fights. This is the first time we get to see her in action. At first, it's not doing well, and then her hair gets grabbed, but she thinks about what she's done so far, and she realizes that she's kind of useless and that she can't protect the people she cares about. So she takes the knife and she cuts her hair. And I'm like, yes, this is her Shita moment. She realizes that she's been useless, but now she is needed. She's gonna step up. I am all for this. And then she continues fighting. She has her little plan. She makes her clones, and then he's like, oh, this is stupid. Like, I know these are clones. And he keeps throwing kunai at her. Except the last one is not a clone and it's actually her, and the kunai go into her arm and she just goes straight for it. She's biting him, he's beating her, but she's not letting go. It is wild. Like, she is taking the pain. She is going straight for it. It is awesome to see her like this. Her hair is gone. I am on the edge of my seat for the first time with this character. It is so cool. Now, obviously, even if she does all this, there's no way she's winning. So when Sasuke gets up and fights by her side, it makes sense. Now, she sees him going crazy. She's like, Sasuke is not himself. And she sees the side of him that she has never seen before. She's like, who is this? Sasuke is basically starting to torture people and she's like, stop it. She grabs him and he sees the fear in her eyes and he calms down. Now, the fact that she is looking at Sasuke in fear, to me, that is like, oh, for the first time, she's not seeing him with rose-colored glasses. She's seeing a part of him that she is scared of. That's really interesting. Like, she's actually like critiquing his character with this look. And this should be the moment where she realizes that she doesn't know Sasuke that well and that she kind of gets detached from him. Right? It doesn't have to be an immediate like, oh, I love him and now I don't care about him. More of him becoming her coworker and her friend more than her obsession. So all of this happens. Sasuke's on the ground. She's helping him. It's really sweet. And then Team 10 arrives and they decide not to attack each other. Again, very nice. And in a lovely moment, Ino takes her aside and she's like, I'll fix your hair. And she grabs a kunai and starts trimming her hair, which is so cute. A little girlhood moment in my shonen. Love that. And Ino makes a snarky remark of like, oh, I saw you hugging Sasuke. You know what you were doing. But Sakura knows, right? Sakura knows that this wasn't a moment of her being attracted to Sasuke. This was a moment of her caring about her teammate and being scared. This was a lot deeper than just an obsession with a boy, right? And this is the moment where Sakura kind of detaches herself from Sasuke. You know, like I see this happening. She's gonna just like dismiss Ino, be like, oh, yeah, and not respond because, you know,
世間じゃ先手必勝って言うのよ。イノブタちゃん。
Why? No. No. After all this, just going straight back to what she was before. This is when I knew it was over. This was when I knew she was gonna make this speech again and again and again and never actually change. If you have a moment like this, it has to be immediately followed with change. And she immediately follows this moment by staying the same. This moment hurts, and this is going on the list. It's the most disappointing end to a cool, like, she had a cool scene and they couldn't even just let her have it. They had to ruin it at the end. This was it was right there. It was the perfect opportunity for her to take a step back and focus on being stronger as a shinobi instead of being obsessed with Sasuke. It was right there. Just being less obsessed with him. The line the setup was right there. So yeah, the first time you see the scene, you think this is gonna be a moment of change, especially since her appearance changes, and that means a lot. It's supposed to mean a lot, but no, instead this is just the moment where she gets a haircut, and it's not the moment where she becomes a cool character. We're gonna hear her say again how she's useless and she feels bad and she never does anything, and she's tired of looking at the guys from behind, and it's pathetic. So the Forest of Death has some highs and some lows. To me, it's one of 2 lows she has in the first show, and it probably doesn't beat the low she has in Shippuden, but we're not there yet. It just, I see the potential that this arc had for her, and it's upsetting that they didn't follow through. And now we get to the duels. Oh god, no, I don't want to. Who else is here? Tenten. Listen, Tenten's biggest critique is her lack of screen time, which is technically a good thing. People want more of her. Also, there are so many characters in this show, it's kind of normal if one gets sidelined. Unfortunately, her first fight, she kind of gets beat by Temari, and her fight in Shippuden is kind of the worst in the show, but that's not her fault, it's her entire team. Tenten has a pretty cool skill set. She's a weapon expert. She finds really creative ways to use the weapons we're used to seeing in the show. She also has very cool outfits that seem to be inspired by Chinese culture. Tenten seems to just really enjoy being a shinobi. She seems to like her job and be passionate about it. I mean, one of my favorite moments from Tenten is that when she's introducing herself to her team, she says that she wants to be a great shinobi like Tsunade, showing that she has an understanding of history and the great female shinobi that came before her. It's rare that we hear characters talk about history. I mean, Naruto didn't know who Jiraiya was. Clearly, she's looked into these things. And then this is followed by, at Tsunade's inauguration, you see Tenten looking up in awe and in admiration, and it's really cute. She may have a tiny bit of screen time, but in that small amount of time, she shows devotion. And even if she doesn't really get an opportunity to show it, we do understand that she's a good shinobi. It's just like, I'm sorry, it's Temari. Like, against someone else, she would have had a chance. Because she has so little screen time, I'm going to also include the ending she appears in, because there's this good ending in Shippuden where Naruto's training against Team Guy, and it's just fun to see them in this setting. It's a shame we don't get more conversations while they're training in the show instead of just walking around the village, because I could totally see Naruto training with Team Guy, and it's a shame that it's not in the story. So yeah, outfits are great, skill set is great, wish we saw more of her. So maybe the Team Guy versus itself is the worst fight in the show, but I mean, Ino and Sakura is not far behind, right? This is when we get the backstory we've all been waiting for, and we discover that Sakura and Ino were super close friends until they realized they had the crush on the same guy, and so they stopped being friends. Riveting. It's just a shame when trauma is such a big part of this show and the themes around it, and then one of the main characters, one of the 3 only people on the poster, has none. It's weird. Like, at first I'm like, okay, like they have a character that's different. Maybe she's fine now and she'll go through trauma later and it'll be interesting. But it's just boring. Like, you're comparing losing a friendship over a guy to the worst child neglect you've ever seen and a government organized massacre of your people. And if you want to finish the team, I mean the suicide of a parent. Like, come on. This is just because the first time you're watching this show, you're like, well, of course Ino is going to be paired with Sakura because anyone else in this room would obliterate Sakura. This is her only chance of having a semi-fair fight. It's pretty discouraging, and I don't want to talk about the actual fight because it's bad. So instead, we're gonna do a quick rewrite that doesn't change the show, because you know what other fight is bad in these duels? Kiba and Naruto. It sucks. You know who doesn't have a single bad fight? Yep. Anyway, so if you're willing to discard Kiba and Naruto, I would say you could team up Kiba and Ino. I'm just going off script here. In Shippuden, we see Ino using her jutsu in a bird so that she can spy on people. So I feel like she could have used her jutsu on Akamaru, and then Kiba wouldn't have been able to use Akamaru to do his classic fang over fang. Oh no. Like, already you get a more interesting use of Ino's jutsu, but because Ino's jutsu is made to be used in a controlled environment to collect information or be a spy, she could be knocked out, and then it could also, like, it could be a double KO. So Ino and Kiba could knock each other out. They would still both be out like in the show. This fight doesn't need to be great, they're 2 side characters. Also, this duel portion is heavily carried by Gaara and Lee, let's be honest. But anyway, this would leave the other fight to, Yeah, I'm just deciding that there's not enough drama in Team 7. Let's just add some. No, okay, hear me out. So if the fight with Hinata and Neji has already happened, and Naruto watches this horrified and he's like, I could never do that. That's awful. He's so evil. I'm gonna defend her. And then he gets paired up with Sakura. Ooh! Oh, how I love drama. So now what I would do to make this work is that I would have Sakura be a lot more injured from the scene where she cuts her hair. Because she did get like stabbed and beaten, and like I'm just imagining her a lot more hurt. She doesn't have healing powers like Naruto. So she's like barely standing, and Naruto's standing in front of her, and he's just like, I can't punch her. Well, seriously, like, do I have to choose between hitting my teammate or passing these exams, getting a promotion? But then Sakura is kind of changing, right? So she knows that like she barely survived the forest. She knows that she's not in a place to fight. And she's like evolving as a character. Now, Sakura started out really mean to Naruto. So in this moment, she would start turning it around and do something nice for Naruto. She would give up the fight. And this would be when she starts believing in Naruto. She says, this isn't my time. I haven't trained hard enough. I haven't taken my role as a shinobi seriously enough. I can see that now. This isn't my time, but it could be yours. Like, this would be actual growth because she realizes that all this time she's been boy obsessed instead of taking her job seriously. And okay, in my other video I'm talking about how this is a bad thing, but I'm talking purely in the context of her character and not the world, okay? I just want to see some kind of growth for her, and this would be an apology for how she's treated Naruto and how she misjudged him. Listen, it's not fantastic. It's not the most feminist thing to ever happen in media, my god, but I still think it's better than the Ino and Sakura fight, where they both KO each other. Ugh. Because obviously if every girl decided not to fight her male counterpart, it wouldn't be good. But like, if this is the only time it happens, I feel like I'd be fine with that, especially if like she's in a terrible state, and obviously Naruto, with the powers he was born with, just has healing powers and is fine. It would make sense for her to give up the fight. These duels are mostly to introduce new characters. She doesn't need another fight scene. We just saw her. Like, we've seen all that she can do. And we've had Naruto fights and we're gonna see more Naruto fights. I don't need to see shadow clones again. So yeah, that would be my quick fix for this scene, and we are back at the exact same place, and she's gonna pass these exams before Naruto anyway. So Sakura doesn't do much for the rest of this arc. So if we look at the next arc, wait, I'm confused. I thought this show was about bad female characters and sometimes an exceptional good one. I'm so used to Sakura, I'm not sure what's going on. I am so happy when the third Hokage dies in the show because that means Tsunade is coming. And Tsunade just feels like when it's spring and the sun hits your face for the first time. She is complex. She is important to the plot. She is strong. Her character design is amazing. And it's just not what I'm expecting at all. So you're just watching the show and you're like, oh, so they can do this. Oh, so they're choosing not to do this for Sakura. This is what we could have. Interesting. Tsunade is introduced in the show as the pick for being the next Hokage, which already is pretty cool because there hasn't been a woman who's been the Hokage yet. But she's also approached by Orochimaru at the same time, and she has to make a choice. Tsunade has escaped this violent and oppressive system, and she's asked to be brought back. So they're two bad choices. But without proper care and therapy for everything she's been through in the war, Tsunade is left dealing with her PTSD with addiction. She doesn't have healthy ways to cope. Shinobis are expected to die on the battlefield, and when they don't, they're just left with these scars that they can't heal from. These themes are explored with Tsunade, and it's super interesting to see them in action. The world of Naruto is very masculine, and Tsunade has separated herself by being around another woman all the time. She's trying to step away from masculinity and from violence. She avoids blood even though she's a medic. Masculinity and violence ruined her life. It took away her lover and her brother. We also see flashbacks of Tsunade fighting to get a healer on every team, which would have been fantastic and would have avoided so much death, but the village refused. They focused on causing more destruction than actually healing their people, even though healing people physically would have been greatly beneficial to their people's mental health. So Tsunade has such an interesting backstory. Now she's presenting with a choice that will affect the plot. Yet Tsunade makes the choice to go with the village, and she fights Orochimaru. And this fight is just, I love it. Her muscles look fantastic. And Tsunade just completely convinces us that she's worthy of being the Hokage with her introduction. No female character has had the depth that Tsunade has. Now, if we talk about her character design, I think it's fantastic. She does get sexualized by other characters, and there are a lot of shots of her necklace, which is conveniently low. but she really stands out as a character outside of her sexualization. It is not distracting to her character, and I often wish that other people would stop sexualizing her because they should take her more seriously, and this is especially Jiraiya. The other thing is that with her appearing younger using chakra, it would have been really easy to make her voice that annoying anime young girl voice. But no, she has the voice of an older woman, and I love her voice. It sounds so commanding. Like, you can tell she's had life experience with that voice. I just love it. So yeah, she's a character who has great fights, great moments, great backstory. She is mentally and physically extremely strong, and it's just so refreshing at this point. You can tell because they always repeat the idea of the trio, and you can tell that she's supposed to be the Sakura. And you're just like, Sakura never reaches this. She is never as interesting as this. So not only is Tsunade the best female character in the entire show, there's also not another character that best represents the themes and adds this much depth in the first show. So yeah, Sakura might not be part of this arc at all, but Tsunade, hats off. Now, she doesn't do much for the rest of the Chunin exams, and the next arc is the Sasuke Retrival arc, which is unfortunate for her. And the next scene she's in, I guess, is Sasuke at the hospital, and her apples are pissing me off. She's just showing how much she doesn't understand Sasuke, because, like, he's not in the mood for anything. He just got tortured by his brother again, and she's smiling in his face. Like, Sasuke is going absolutely crazy on that bed. Honestly, she should have been fighting to keep the two boys apart, and especially kind of defending Sasuke at this point. Because I think Naruto agreeing to fight Sasuke is the worst thing he does during the show. Like, Sasuke was in a terrible state. So if Sakura had managed to see that, she should have aggressively asked Naruto to get out of the room. But like, I can't even say that because at this point she has no reason to understand Sasuke. She's never been through anything. If Naruto can't understand Sasuke at this point, why would Sakura? Like, Naruto trying to understand Sasuke is the whole point of the show. So like, I can't even say that I expect this from her. It's just the only thing that she could do that would like make her useful. So yeah, she ends up just crying and telling them to stop. I think she's allowed to be upset that her team is falling apart. She was given a traumatized team. But it's sad that the only thing she can do is cry because she doesn't relate to her teammates. Like, she has no purpose in this story. He doesn't want your apples. And I would like to say that this is the last Sakura scene we had, but unfortunately, there's another one. We're gonna need the list for this one. So Sasuke leaves the village in a state of complete desperation, and then Sakura finds out and goes to talk to him. She cries, obviously, and she says the most out of touch thing you could possibly say. She's like, oh yeah, you know how the person you love the most killed your entire family and then tortured you? Yeah, I now know what you feel because my crush / coworker was in the hospital, and those two are the exact same thing. And I'm like, she hasn't changed a bit. She's still the girl at the beginning who laughed at an orphan to another orphan. She is so out of touch with her coworkers, the protagonists of this show. Like, to me, this is the moment that you see she's had no character growth. How can she be stupid enough to make this comparison? It's so out of touch. First of all, it's going on the list, but also, like, I have explained how this comment is an extra push for Sasuke to leave, but like, she doesn't even stop there because she's like, take me with you. Take me with you. No. No, first of all, she wouldn't last a day. Second of all, does she have nothing else? Is Sasuke still the only... She's still that girl on the stairs that said her goal in life was Sasuke, the things she likes is Sasuke. Now Sasuke's leaving and she's like, oh, well, take me with you. Reminder, Sasuke's going to a terrorist that's running a cult. Sakura has a family. Like, she has things in the leaf, but she is just willing to give everything up for this guy that doesn't like her. And I'm supposed to like this character? Like, she has had experiences with Orochimaru. She has felt the fear looking at Sasuke. She has felt fear looking at Orochimaru, and it has meant nothing. Her only character trait is still only liking Sasuke, and that is pathetic. When Tsunade hesitates between the leaf and Orochimaru, it's because the leaf has only hurt her. Sakura does not have any negative experiences to justify this. Everything she has been through would lead her to the leaf and not to Orochimaru. So yeah, he just karate chops her and leaves her on a bench. Like, I explained what his thank you means in my other video, but like she just pushed him further. She proved that they don't understand him. Like the first show is basically done and she's been through nothing. In a story where trauma is crucial. Like sad backstories are the backbone of Naruto. Like literally it's the end of the show and her character hasn't moved. Look at Naruto and Sasuke. Look at Sasuke. My god. On the bright side of things, there's our first redhead diva that's introduced. I don't have much to say about Tayuya, but like, she is the most memorable of the Sound 4. And also, I love women doing genjutsu. I also have a soft spot for Orochimaru experiments. So at least she's there to cheer me up in these trying times. So okay, we've rewritten a few scenes since we started this video. I want to do a rewrite that does change the story. Changing as little as I can, but still enough to like have an impact on her character. Because you have to change some major things to be able to salvage anything. And the first thing I would change is that in the first arc, she would start medical ninjutsu. So she climbs up the tree better than the boys, and then Kakashi's like, oh, you would be great at medical ninjutsu. So while the guys are training and while other stuff is happening, instead of just sitting down at the house, she is actively learning medical ninjutsu. So towards the end of the arc, instead of crying over Sasuke and he wakes up, she notices that Sasuke's not actually dead. His heartbeat is just weak. So she uses what she's learned and she's the one that wakes up Sasuke. Even though it's not perfect, she manages to heal him enough so he's okay. Another option would be because she learns to climb on trees, she learns how to walk on water before the two other guys. And there could be a scene where, I don't know, something happens, they drop something, they're like, oh no, but then Sakura just jumps down and she can walk on water, so she throws it back up. Anything that would make her use the skill she had in that first arc, because right now she just has that skill so she can be kicked out of a scene and then doesn't use it again. Also, she explains what a Kike Genkai is. For the Chunin exams, she could notice that it's a genjutsu before Sasuke, and I don't know how, but she would recognize that the Chunin exams are for cheating and she would maybe find a way to cheat. Like, I don't know how. Honestly, if you have any ideas, please let me know. But her knowing the answers is really lazy. In the Forest of Death, she's the one that notices the straw sticking out of the ground, and she makes a plan while like side-eyeing Sasuke, so they're both aware of it. So she makes up the plan and then Sasuke catches on. Teamwork. Now, before she cuts her hair and the two boys are out, she tries to heal them, but she's really struggling. And this scene basically goes on as it does, but at the end, obviously, she just dismisses Ino for her comment. She's not like completely over Sasuke, but she's starting to separate herself from him and focus on herself. Now, here is the major change, because listen, I love when women are single, I love when they can handle themselves and they don't need a man, but I also understand that Sakura's a romantic and that she would like to have a man. And I think they thought about this because there are so many scenes of them. And like, obviously, I don't know. It's obvious that they thought of making her end up with Lee because Lee protects her in the Forest of Death, right? And then after that, she brings him flowers at the hospital. She's talking with Ino, and Ino's like, oh, I'll bring his flower for Sasuke. And Sakura's like, oh, I'll also bring one for Lee. Like, she's going from one to the other. There's a scene of them talking on a bridge. Okay, I am aware that black pink is in your area, but also have you considered that maybe pink looks good with green? Because, okay, Legally Blonde would not be as beloved as it is if Elle ended up with the stupid lawyer from the beginning. It's iconic because she moves on from him and she goes with the guy who actually likes her, who maybe is not the ideal look, even though obviously it's Hollywood, he's conventionally attractive, but she moves on from the guy who mistreated her. The same thing has to happen here. So she moves on from the objectively beautiful guy and goes to the guy who might not be as attractive, but who actually admires her and likes her. She goes from superficial attraction to liking someone because of their personality. It would be so cute and so good for both of their characters. So hey, gets away from Sasuke, starts looking at Lee. We're there, okay? Now, what happens next? Oh, like she's trying to be a healer. Last arc, she failed to heal the people that are closest to her. So what happens now? The best healer comes to town. As soon as Tsunade steps in those doors, I want her begging. She should be ready to do anything for Tsunade to teach her medical ninjutsu. She could start with Shizune and prove herself, and then Tsunade would be like, okay, I see you, we'll take you in. Like, she got scared in the Forest of Death because she was like, I have potential for ninjutsu, but I don't know anything. I need to be her apprentice. And I want to see agency and her going to Tsunade and asking for it. She says she's sick of being useless, I better see that. Obviously, she tries to stop Naruto from fighting Sasuke, but they push her aside. Maybe she even gets hurt, I don't know. But she can recognize that Sasuke is mentally unwell, and she is scared of what would happen if they fight. And now this is important. When Sasuke leaves the village, this is the moment where I want that little voice inside her head that's always angry. I want that to come out right here. I want her to recognize that he's leaving and then yell at him. I want her to call him selfish, to say, we work better as a team. Why would you think this person is going to help you? We're here for you. Do you realize how much the people in the village care about you? You are joining the person that attacked our village, that hurt our people. How could you? How could you even consider to do that? I want her to, she can cry in this scene, but I want her main emotion to be anger. Because with my rewrite, she has been a good coworker with Sasuke. And she's like, yes, maybe you got defeated by your brother now, but we can train harder. We can learn new things. Orochimaru is not gonna do this for you. Open your eyes. And whether she's right or wrong doesn't really matter. It's about the emotions that she's feeling. Because you could argue whether Orochimaru is good for Sasuke or not, but from her point of view, it is an absolute no. It's not a, I could join you. It's a, this person is awful and you're joining him. If you join Orochimaru, you are a terrible person and I won't forgive you. I need her to scream. And now I do like the 5 guys going after Sasuke because it's kind of a representation of masculinity in the village and what Sasuke's running away from, and I find it interesting. Like, he's running away from the normies and he's going to the alt people. You can see it visually, I like it. But she could have joined later after she's healed from being karate chopped by Sasuke and actually heal the guys that were injured in battle. You know, do something. Listen, would this arc be the most feminist, best written female character of all time? No. But you know what? There's an arc. There's a start and a beginning. She goes from being obsessed with Sasuke to being interested in Lee. She would start as being useless and become a healer, not really know her journey as a shinobi, to being really sure that she wants to be a healer. Like, I know Avatar criticizes this trope, and rightfully so, but also, like, it could work for Sakura. It would be better than what we have, which is nothing. The most important thing for me, for Sakura, would be agency. I want to see her make decisions for herself. I don't want her to always be asked to do something. I want to see her be passionate and have ambition, and that is what is lacking. And the main problem is her obsession with Sasuke, so let's just get rid of that at the force of death. And it looks like this is gonna be part 1. My bad, I thought this entire video would be 40 minutes. And now I've only done the first show and I'm already at 50 minutes and I'm still figuring this YouTube stuff out. So yeah, I swear there's a point I want to make with this video, but that will have to come in part 2 apparently. It's already written, I just have to make it. Yeah, there's still a lot of characters I need to talk about, like Ino and Temari and stuff. And we have to go through what Sakura does during Shippuden. So that'll be fun. If you watched the entire thing, thank you so much. I don't know if anybody is because I still have 0 subscribers, which is fine. I am pretending there's like 1,000 people, so I don't feel like a crazy person talking alone in a room. But hey, it's fine. Progress is slow and I'm here for a long time, not a good time, so. But yeah, thank you so much if you even clicked on this video. I really appreciate it. Bye!